So there we have it, major upset in French political history. Emmanuel Macron, Marine Le Pen.
Je souhaite, dans 15 jours, devenir votre président.
Celle que je vous propose, c'est la grande alternance.
Hello and thanks for joining us for this edition of France in Focus. On April the 23rd, nearly 80% of the French electorate headed to polling stations across the country to cast their ballots in what's been dubbed the most unpredictable French presidential race in modern times. Well, the centrist independent candidate, Emmanuel Macron, came out on top, with the far-right's Marine Le Pen at just a couple of percentage points behind, meaning that these two are going to go through to the second round on May the 7th. Well, let's find out now what the word is on the street and how the French public feels about this French presidential race. Et qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la campagne jusqu'à maintenant?
Une blague. C'est juste une grande blague, on aurait dit de la télé-réalité. Vraiment pas intéressant et c'était pas politique, c'était un jeu plus qu'autre chose.
It's a little unnerving because everybody's afraid of what might happen.
Il y en a deux candidats, Macron et Le Pen. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez de ces deux candidats?
Ils sont dangereux tous les deux pour le peuple, pour l'intérêt du peuple, voilà, c'est tout.
Laisser une femme au pouvoir, ça me tente bien par contre. Après, je suis pas d'accord avec toutes ces idées, mais il y a beaucoup de choses effectivement qu'elle dit qui sont véridiques, comme dans tous les autres partis, voilà.
I'm voting for Macron.
Why?
I'm not completely in love with Macron, but I think that we absolutely have to make the French call it barrage, a dam against the arrival of Marine Le Pen in power.
Well, with radically different visions for this country, both Le Pen and Macron are promising to lead France in a new direction. We're going to take a closer look now at these two presidential hopefuls and their respective career paths.
Marine Le Pen is 49 years old and the daughter of one of the National Front's founding members. Her rival, Emmanuel Macron, is 39 and was born in Amiens. Marine Le Pen has gotten divorced twice and is a mother of 3. Her current partner is Louis Alliot, the National Front's vice president. Emmanuel Macron is married to his former high school teacher and is a stepfather to her 3 children. Marine Le Pen joined the National Front's legal department in 1998 and became a European MP in 2004. She's also served as a local representative in various regions. Emmanuel Macron, meanwhile, studied philosophy and political science before joining the prestigious ENA in 2002. He then worked as a financial inspector and banker for Rothschild. He was named France's economy minister in 2014 and founded the En Marche movement 2 years later. Marine Le Pen, who already ran for president in 2012, wants to limit immigration and leave the Eurozone. Emmanuel Macron presents himself as the centre candidate and wants to modernize the French economy. In her spare time, Marine Le Pen enjoys photography, gardening, and taking care of her cats. Emmanuel Macron's hobbies include reading, playing the piano, and boxing.
15 years ago, when Marine Le Pen's father made it to the second round of the French presidential race, there was shock and anger right across France and also further afield. And in this very square, there were huge protests. But put the clock forward 1.5 decades, and the fact the National Front is in the second round of the French presidential race seems much less remarkable. So why the change?
It was a score nobody expected, and one that sent a shockwave through the country. On April 21, 2002, National Front leader Jean-Marie Le Pen made it to the second round of France's presidential election. The media was outraged, and thousands took to the streets to voice their rejection of the far right.
Can you imagine what will happen to France if Le Pen becomes president? What will happen to young people like us? It will be the end of France.
15 years on, Marine Le Pen's qualification for the second round hasn't sparked the same anger. A sign of the growing acceptance surrounding the National Front's role in French politics.
It's still a party which built its entire vision of France around the fear of immigration
It's still a party which built its identity around the hatred of Europe. So it's a very dangerous party for our democracy, and the problem is that we're not aware of that anymore.
I think that the National Front has evolved, as have other parties. It adapted in a way to the postmodern world, including in the way it presents itself to voters. There's a certain calmness, a public persona.
Smiling, collected, close to the people, and far from the excesses of her father. A new image that Marine Le Pen has carefully tended to in a bid to normalize her party.
The National Front is here. It represents a part of France, and it's important to meet these people, to exchange ideas, even if we disagree, to debate and try and convince them.
I think there's been a lack of resistance to the ideas. When you're in a society where the language, the words, the ideas of the National Front are tolerated, you can't be surprised to see a National Front threat in the polls as well.
In 2002, Jacques Chirac defeated Jean-Marie Le Pen with an overwhelming 82% of votes, the biggest landslide in the country's history. And whether she wins or loses, Marine Le Pen is likely to do much better than her father on May 7th.
Well, as they conceded defeat, some of the party leaders called on their supporters to block Marine Le Pen's election hopes in the second round and give their support to Emmanuel Macron. But in the final days of the campaign, both Macron and Le Pen are fighting hard to win support from all directions.
Marine Le Pen may have made it through to the final round, but polls still suggest Emmanuel Macron would beat her in the May 7th runoff with around 60% of the vote. The strong lead may be in part thanks to the Republican Front, a cross-party alliance that hopes to block the National Front from winning. Candidates knocked out of the first round immediately conceded by urging their supporters to vote for Macron.
I am calling on the public to beat the National Front in the strongest and most powerful way possible by voting for Emmanuel Macron, even if he does not belong to the left and has no desire to represent it tomorrow. The difference between Macron and Le Pen is the difference between a political adversary and an enemy of the Republic.
I assure you that extremism can only bring hardship and division to France. There is no other choice but to vote against the far right. I will vote for Emmanuel Macron.
15 years ago, voters from across party lines similarly united to vote for Jacques Chirac in favor of Jean-Marie Le Pen. But this time around, the call to unite against the National Front has lost a part of its strength. Several members within France's Conservative Party have publicly refused to support Macron, with some even backing Le Pen.
I won't vote for Macron, and I won't call on others to vote for him either.
I will vote for Ms. Le Pen against Mr. Macron. Mr. Macron represents everything I've fought against: globalization, libertarianism, financialization.
Meanwhile, nearly half of the supporters of the hard-left candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon say they will abstain from voting in the second round. While a Le Pen win remains unlikely, the gap between her and Macron is expected to be far more narrow than Chirac versus Jean-Marie Le Pen in 2002, which many National Front supporters may see as a win in itself.
Well, that's all we have time for this week's edition. We're going to leave you with these images of some of the highlights and the lowlights of the campaign. Thanks for watching. Stay with us here on France 24.
Je ne me retirerai pas.
Cet échec est une profonde meurtrissure.
J'espère que la révolution, ça sera toi.
France 24 is getting ready to bring you all the action from the French presidential election. Stay informed of all the developments with our reports, debates and analysis. The outcome could have implications across the world. Second round, May 7th. Follow the French presidential election on France 24. Down to Earth, presented by Shona Bhattacharya.
Centralized energy is the old world.
You have the option when you're getting rid of something to do it responsibly.
Saving the ocean is also saving humankind.
In this new season of Down to Earth, join us as we go to the heart of environmental issues shaping our lives and delve deeper into what's at stake for our planet.
Down to Earth on France 24 and France24.com.